Before Katie and I bought a home here 8 years ago, I prayed that God would give us this land. Well, fast forward several years, the elders of Two Rivers believed that God had given us permission to explore where He would have us establish a permanent home for our church. Well, come to find out, the owner of this property, a local dentist named Dr. Frank Trundle, was actually buying a truck that week from a guy named Brian House, who was one of our elders. And as the two of these men sat together in Brian's office, he was far more interested in sharing what God has been up to in a small church up in Ooltewah called Two Rivers. Now, Dr. Trundle, whose family has owned this land before interstate was even cut through it, sat in Brian's office and began to share how interesting it was that just that past Friday, he and his wife were talking about this land. He told Brian, it's been 10 years since I've even seen that property, but my wife last Friday asked me, Bubba, what are we gonna do with that land? And Brian smiled and he said, I think God might be up to something. And for the next 3 years, we did our due diligence. We went back and forth in negotiations. And at different points along the way, both parties were ready to walk away from the deal. But it was as if God had these plans for our church, and no one was going to stop them. I'll never forget when we were at a stalemate with Dr. Trundle. We thought the deal was dead. And in just a 2-week span, we ran into Dr. Trundle 2 times. I remember standing outside of an Ace Hardware and seeing Dr. Trundle, and I put my arm around him and I said, Dr. Trundle, you think God might be trying to tell us something? He smiled, and I leaned in and I asked him, we gonna get this deal done or not? Well, after a couple more dinners, appraisals, assessments later, we finally came to terms. Dr. Trundle would generously donate a portion of the land, and we would purchase a portion of the land for a total price of $350,000. We brought this to the church back in December of 2019, and the vote passed to purchase this property. But then, in March of 2020, a pandemic shut the world down. We literally went from the brink of launching a capital campaign to toilet paper shortages and worship services online. And with all the craziness of this pandemic, Dr. Trundle decided he wanted to sell the entire piece of property, all 27 acres, which was way more than we needed or could afford. But we believed that this was the land that God wanted our church to be on. And this is where the story gets interesting. I actually reached out to a friend who I thought might be interested in developing the north end of the property while we built our church on the south side. Win-win. And together we decided to partner in purchasing the property. And Two Rivers Church would end up with 6 acres just south of the creek, a couple acres north of the creek. And we knew that we needed to get this deal done by the end of the year. And on the Monday before Christmas of 2020, the year that the world got turned upside down, we closed on the sale of this land. And here's the most incredible part. When all is said and done, we're going to build our church on land that didn't end up costing our church $1. We're getting this land for free. Isn't God good? And what we've been dreaming about, what God has been up to for so many years, is becoming a reality. And this is the future home of Two Rivers Church.